A ton of news has dropped for EVE Online, from an overview of the Capsuleer Day event to Pearl Abyss selling EVE Online back to CCP. Let's talk about it. If you're looking for practical EVE guides and stories from the world of New Eden, you've come to the right place. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Lynn Rankin. Let's jump straight into the news. I've got quite a bit of information and a giveaway in this video, so let's start with the biggest news of all. Bigger than Capsuleer Day itself, Pearl Abyss has agreed to sell EVE Online back to CCP Games, and the deal is expected to close on May 6th. Originally purchased for an undisclosed but theoretical $425 million US back in 2018, according to WN Hub, a translation of the Korean site Inven where the news originated from, Pearl Abyss is selling EVE Online back to CCP Games, and the deal is expected to close as early as next week. Pearl Abyss has stated that it will earn 120 million in USD, approximately 177 billion won, from the sale. We knew that PA has been looking for a buyer since rumors started last summer of their intent to sell off EVE Online. I know we had quite a few discussions at that time about who players would like to own EVE Online, and I don't think many people had considered CCP buying back the rights. Pearl Abyss has stated the two companies will remain open to future collaboration, indicating that the sale and relationship has been at least friendly. One of the reasons cited for the acquisition and subsequent selling of EVE was that at the time the market indicated global IP and diversification of their game portfolio was a firm strategic position. But since then, the market has shifted significantly, and operational losses from CCP contributed to selling EVE back to CCP. As a side note, I believe that judgment is also what shifted Crimson Desert from an MMO release into a single-player RPG release. To much success, I might add, becoming a record holder in the Korean console game market, achieving 5 million units sold so far. It also appears that another reason for the acquisition in the first place was to gain further experience in operating in a global market, something CCP has done for over 20 years, and something that Pearl Abyss may have seen as worth the investment to learn from CCP's experience. We will have to see how this will affect CCP and Pearl Abyss going forward, as well as EVE Online and its sister projects like EVE Vanguard and EVE Frontier. Leave a comment on what you think about this change and what CCP will do with the greater control afforded to them by retaking ownership of EVE Online. Now on to Warpath. The theme for this year's Capsuleer Day is war. All-out war has begun in EVE Online between the four empires. According to the lore, the only thing holding the empires back from attacking each other was a hacker disabling Concord's protocols to prevent such invasions from occurring outside of faction warfare space. I wonder if Concord vibe coded that with Claude. Warpath is the codename the hacker or hacker group has been going by, and while no origin to who this character or characters are, their goal was transmitted across terminals throughout New Eden. A gift, dear empires. After all, toys are meant to be played with. Okay, that's enough lore for the event. Let's get into how the event operates and what you can do to take advantage of the event. To start, there is the new login campaign going from today until June 2nd when the event ends. For alpha pilots, you can claim 140,000 skill points just from logging in each day on the alpha track. In addition, you will receive Capsuleer Day skins for the Imicus Navy issue, Probe Fleet issue, Magnate Navy issue, and the Heron Navy issue, as well as several boosters, fireworks, and Skinner elements. Of note is a Glamorex booster at the end of the event, useful for gaining standings with factions. For Omega pilots, you will receive 525,000 skill points from logging in each day, in addition to what you get from the Alpha track, and Capsuleer skin days, and Capsuleer Day skins for the Stabber Fleet issue, Vexor Navy issue, Imperial Navy Slicer, and the Osprey Navy issue. 28,500 Evermarks, accelerators, and boosters, in addition to the rewards from the Alpha tracks that you claim at the same time, totaling 665,000 skill points. Also on both tracks, you will receive historic Capsuleer Day skin crates. The Omega Path just gets a few more. Now let's get into the patch notes very quickly before we go into the event track and talk through it. The most important thing to talk about is ship bonuses for each faction's ships when in that faction's space. Imperial Warpath Zeal applies to Amarr ships in space controlled by the Amarr Empire, 7.5% increase in energy turret damage, armor hit points, and a 10% bonus to warp speed. State Warpath Discipline applies to Keldari ships in space controlled by the Keldari state. 7.5% increase in missile launcher rate of fire and shield hit points, and 10% increase in warp speed. The Federal Warpath Fervor applies to Gallente ships in space controlled by the Gallente Federation. 7.5% increase in hybrid turret tracking, 7.5% increase in local armor rep, and 10% bonus to warp speed. Republic Warpath Pride applies to Minmatar ships in space controlled by the Minmatar Republic. 7.5% increase in projectile turret falloff, velocity, and 10% increase in warp speed. Keep these ship bonuses in mind when you're planning on doing any PvE or PvP activity in EVE for the next 30 days in high sec or low sec. There are new combat sites found in high sec and low sec, found in the probe scanner, listed from least difficult to most difficult or risky. Defense Complex, found in high sec, can only support T2 frigates, pirate, navy frigates, and T1 frigates. Defense Grid, found in low sec and high sec, can support T2, pirate, navy, T1 cruisers, and frigates. War Grid, found only in low sec, it can support battleships, marauders, cruisers, and frigates. In each combat site, there are 3 complexes you need to defend, each able to be warped to from within the combat site. You have to defend and secure as many complexes as you can before the site timer runs out. Once a single complex has been secured, you can warp to a new extraction point that unlocks to collect ISK and rewards, increasing in value with each complex you secure. I will be doing a video on how to do these new Warpath combat sites so you understand the concept. A word of warning, however, when doing these combat sites. At present, there is a glitch where doing and taking out NPCs in these combat sites triggers standings loss. This is a glitch and not intended. I don't know if CCP will correct any standings that are lost in this way while they work to fix it, but they are aware of and working to fix this at the time of this video. Next is new exploration sites. There are 2 versions of the new sites, the Intelligence Cache and the Strategic Infiltration. The Intelligence Cache is found in high sec, null sec, wormhole space, and Pochven. They have less risk and fewer rewards, can be done in any ship since you can warp right in and there's no acceleration gate. The Strategic Infiltration site appears to be a combination of an exploration and combat site, since when you get into the site, there are turrets and proximity mines to contend with. If you fail a hack, sentry turrets will start activating and attacking you, and they will pod you as well. You can hack a master security node to disable the lockdown before you start to limit the risk, but you will still need to deal with the proximity mines. Be careful and be sure to add the new sentry gun to your overview settings. The Strategic Infiltration site at present is limited to Navy and T1 cruisers and frigates. There's reports that the exploration sites are not despawning after they have been hacked at the time of this video. So you may find for the first day or so of the event that you run into a few empty sites while CCP fixes this. For both the combat sites and exploration sites, you will receive Warpath operational intel and Warpath strategic data. The operational intel is what's used for trading in for event items, and the Warpath strategic data is straight ISK. You sell the data to NPC vendors for 200,000 ISK each. You will also get Capsuleer Day items and fireworks. Before we get into the event track, let's do a giveaway. Simply comment your in-game name, the empire you are rooting for in the Warpath, and you'll be in for one of 15 Flycatcher Media Miasma skins. I will pick a winner in about a week from this video. Now on to the event track. More skill points, more plex, and Society of Conscious Thought ships. As you progress along the event track, you will receive an Apotheosis, Metamorphosis, Synesis, Gnosis, and Apraxis at 1,000 points. In addition, for completing the track, you will receive 75 Plex, 75,000 skill points, and 750 Warpath operational intel, and some Skinner material. You have several ways to complete the event track, being security missions, mining Crokite or Plagioclast in Empire space, defeating mercenaries within the Warpath combat sites, hacking containers in the exploration sites, capturing or defending faction warfare complexes, or trading items in the in-space traders. Yes, the in-space traders are back for this event. All of these activities will reward points for completing each of the tiers, and all activities, except for the trading, will supply you with more Warpath operational intel for the first time you complete all 5 tiers. After that, each activity becomes repeatable just for event track points. The event track will extend during the final week of the event, so you will need to come back and grind more points later on in the event if you complete the first 1,000 points. By theoretically completing all 5 tiers for all the activities the first time around, you will receive 3,000 points. So you only need to complete 2 of any activity if you are only interested in completing the event track itself for 1,000 points. 1,250 Warpath operational intels, totaling 2,000 if you combine the 750 from the event track, except for trading, which awards no intels. 60 plex, 10 plex for every activity you get to tier 5. Again, all of these activities are repeatable for points after tier 5 for 30 points each time you complete, like the Gallente election event. Now, there are different places where you can turn in your Warpath operational intel, all in space trading, like the Gallente election event. I've got them up on screen for you, but you can find them by right-clicking the operational intel. You can receive Skinner elements, boosters including accelerators and Glamour X boosters, a frigate and battleship Capsuleer 23 skin, and the highlight for the trade-ins are: for 4,000 Warpath operational intels, you can receive a BPC for a faction Bastion module. And for 5,000 operational intels, you will receive a BPC for new officer modules. Each faction Bastion module has different stats and not just cookie cutter to each other. For example, the Imperial Navy Bastion module offers 15% extra armor repair bonus compared to the base Bastion module, while the Republic Fleet version actually has a 10% less shield and armor repair amount compared to base. The Federation Navy Bastion module offers a 60% reduction in rate of fire compared to the base 50%. However, the Republic Fleet version, while it has reduced rep bonuses, it carries 10% extra resistances across the board compared to the base Bastion, whereas the Imperial Navy and Kildari Navy Bastion modules have 10% less resistances than base. Go take a detailed look as to which Bastion module works for your Marauder, and they are going to be quite expensive. If you are going to buy your way through the event to get these modules, each BPC currently costs 2.6 billion ISK to purchase it outright before the cost for manufacturing the module. Also, all Bastion modules have a new bonus for shield booster duration reduction and capacitor need bonus reduction. The base Bastion module now has a 20% reduction in shield booster duration and 20% reduction in capacitor need. There are also new officer modules available for this event. Ravelli's Modified Integrated Analyzer, basically like the Zeugma, but with an extra utility slot. Zerkosh's Modified Expanded Cargo Hold. Better than Ore with the same cargo capacity bonus, but doesn't hurt your max velocity or structure hit points as bad. Torigo's Modified Capacitor Flux Coil. Hands down just the best flux coil in the game. Fimir's Modified Mining Laser Upgrade. Offering 2 extra % mining yield amount bonus compared to Tech 2, but with a 15% CPU penalty to mining lasers compared to the T2's 12.5%. Each one is about 3.5 billion if you brute force and purchase them outright by buying 5,000 intels. The Torigo Capacitor Flux Coil is available in Kildari Quartermaster sites. Fimir's Mining Laser Upgrade is available in Mimitar Quartermaster sites. Ravelli's Integrated Analyzer is available in Gallente Quartermaster sites. And Zerkosh's Expanded Cargo Hold module is available in Amar Quartermaster sites. Now, this is all in-space trading, so do be careful for ganking. Side note, I was going to include a section about ganking and how, because this is in-space trading, you need to be careful about gankers, like in the Gallente election event. I think CCP has done something very, very smart. They have essentially made this ungankable. When you are in the site here, what you have here is this new modifier called a Quartermaster Defense Field. 50,000 additional base shield hit points when you are in range of these quartermaster sites, meaning you can more safely come over here. And I mean, look at this. Look at this. My buzzard has 111,000 EHP, 111,000. And then I'm going to turn on my invul, 161,000 EHP on a buzzard. Okay, back to the video. There's very little risk of getting ganked with the in-space trading this time around. Thank you, CCP, for listening to the community. Use services like Red Frog Freight to haul your loot to a trade hub of your choice rather than hauling it on your own. Again, I will be putting out a video on how to do the new Warpath combat sites, and I'll be attempting to locate and record the strategic infiltration exploration site as well to get that covered. While you all wait for my coverage on how to do the Warpath combat site, I want you to check out Gustav Mannfred. They have a video up right now on how they took on the defense grid in a Caldari Navy issue. So go check him out and give him a subscribe. I will cover any updates once the event track extends during the last week of the event. So I'll see you back here for all the Capsuleer Day coverage. Like and subscribe. Check out this video on screen on how I took care of a similar event with the Gallente Elections event. Thank you to my YouTube and Patreon members, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.